Providence Police Chief Colonel Oscar Perez is in studio for his first 10 News Conference visit with us. Chief, welcome in.
Thank you, Gene. Thank you so much for having me here.
The hat looks good, and so does the cup you brought me.
Thank you.
This is Providence Police Department.
Happy
there you
holidays.
Go. I'll keep it right over here. Merry Christmas to you.
Thank
All right,
you.
very good. Chief, night after night we see the stories, the nightclubs, the sip joints, the frustration up on Federal Hill. Before I get to those specifics, overall, though, you are going to tell me that crime is slightly down combined, down about 2%, is that correct?
Correct, slightly down 2%. And again, I commend the work of the men and women of the Providence Police Department who on a daily basis go out there and police the city. And so, yeah, it's down, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud of the work that they do on a daily basis.
All right, so that's taken together, property crime, other crime, violent crime. You're down 2%.
Correct.
But your shootings overall, now these are shootings with fatalities and non-fatalities. You are up this year to date versus last year. Last year 54, last year 42, this year 54. That's significant.
Correct. That's year to date. That was just after last week's data that we had. It is significant, but we look at overall the city, obviously it's changed in many different ways. The police department, unfortunately, we're an urban in the city, and we get many times shootings that are up. But what I'd like to say also is the fact that we seized about 295 firearms year to date. It's a lot of guns out there, and it's unfortunate. It's City of Providence faces the same issues that many major cities are facing around the nation. And so one thing that I can say is the fact that we're proactively, efficiently, and quickly acting and investigating incidents that happen in our city.
Right. So if I say percentage-wise, it looks like you're up almost 20%.
Correct.
Am I correct, from 42 to 54? You would say what? What do you attribute that to specifically? And then I'm going to back off that, because I remember something Buddy Cianci told me years ago about statistics. But go ahead. First, account for this percentage increase.
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with the firearms. We got so many firearms out there on the street. There's just a lot. And then actually different incidents, different things that might happen nationwide that have occurred here. And people too, I noticed a lot of the data also, and I know what you're going to say about the data, but a lot of the data shows that between the month of April all the way to October is our busier months. We got a lot of influence of people. The city has a lot of events, urban inner city areas of the neighborhoods, hotspots, and so that contributes. But I think the fact that we have a lot of firearms on the street is causing an increase in shootings.
Well, we've been complaining about that for years and years. Too many firearms on the streets. By the way, this is not an argument over pro-gun, anti-gun. This is just too many firearms in the hands of the wrong people. Are these gang members? Are these youth who are not being led in the right way? What is it, Chief? You're on the streets.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of everything. Definitely youth issues, adult issues, past issues that they had in the past. But I think also what has to do is these ghost guns that are being created online. I mean, you can at your fingertips, you can get in front of a computer, order parts, assemble them at your own home, and then next thing you know, you got ghost guns that are actually on the street being utilized by certain criminals in our city. I like to call that criminals because at the end of the day, we have a lot of great people in the city. A lot of great people that on a daily basis go to work. They raise their kids in a proper way. They're trying to do the right thing. And then unfortunately, we have some individuals that want to commit crimes in our city. But I'll tell you, I'm proud again. I'm proud of the work of the men and women of the Providence Police. 295 guns we seized year to date. And those are not easy arrests. Those come with food chases, car chases, proactive police work. And I can't commend enough the support that we get from the current administration and our mayor. I don't think there's any other police chief in the nation that has a mayor who supports proactive policing and supports us.
All right, let's talk specifically. Before I do that, though, I just reminded, I once covered Buddy Cianci on a triple murder many, many years ago. And it was a bad scene, but Buddy Cianci came out and said, well, there goes my crime rate. With one incident, my crime rate just shot up. So it can be fickle depending on how you look at these numbers. One bad incident can jack your crime rate up, correct? The sword cuts both ways.
Correct. And that's what happens. Sometimes we'll have a shooting, and we just had the other day, unfortunately, and my heart goes out to the family. We had a double homicide. And so the detectives did a phenomenal work with that. We actually put somebody in handcuffs. So another thing is we've had some homicides in the city, and out of those we have nine homicides that have been solved. And so again, the great work that they do is incredible.
When you talk about homicides, and when we put it on the news every night, the nightclubs, Atwell's Avenue, people do get a sense of unease because they don't have your book of statistics when they're driving up to go to the restaurant. All they know is what I heard on the news the other night. Levels was the nightclub in the news just a week ago. A couple of weeks before that, Sage up on Federal Hill. Now, up on Federal Hill, you know, they've been complaining for a long time about too much crime, too many incidents. The city needs to do more. Let's play. This is a soundbite from a business owner, Tony's Colonial, and he's had enough of the trouble in the nightclubs on Federal Hill and around that area. Play it when you react.
I hear from everybody, we don't go to the Hill anymore. It's too violent. So somebody's got to do something.
He said he's hearing people don't go to the Hill anymore. It's too violent. Somebody's got to do something. You're the somebody.
Correct. No, we are doing something. I'll tell you, the city, and I like to mention that the city is divided into 9 different districts. Each district is commanded by a lieutenant who becomes the mini police chief of that area. That lieutenant becomes the person, that liaison, who kind of has the community relations, builds partnerships. Yeah. And so to these issues that that Mr. Torino, who I know personally, is mentioning, I mean, the city is safe. I like to mention that the city is safe. Unfortunately, we've had incidents. We've had incidents on Federal Hill in which we investigate, we attend. That specific nightclub that they mentioned, or the bar, they were brought up, they're held accountable. Mm-hmm. If you're going to patronize and you're going to have a nightclub anywhere, not just Federal Hill, Atwell's, down on Broad Street, downtown, anywhere, you're responsible for whatever you promote in there, and you're responsible for your clientele. And at the end of the day, it's our job to ensure that it's safe. And so, to that point, yes, when we find out that there's issues like that or incidents that have happened, and specifically on the Hill, we work closely with the Federal Hill Association. We work closely with partnerships, and we figure out what the best solution is to ensure that doesn't happen again. Because at the end of the day, it's about quality of life. And the Hill has been, as you know, a jewel in an area which I remember as a young kid going out there to eat. And the last thing we want is to show a different sort of face in the city. So,
all right, Chief, stay with us. One more segment with the Chief. We'll touch on a bunch of different things, including more crime issues in Providence. Right back.
Thank you for turning to 10, your news leader. 10 News Conference with Gene Valicenti continues right now.
And we're continuing with the colonel of the Providence Police Department, Oscar Perez, who was the new colonel after the last colonel, Chief Clements, was there for a long, long time. You know, you made the case and you're insisting that Federal Hill is safe. But sometimes it's a tough sell. And I remember that not that long ago, under the previous administration, there was even a councilman who said, nobody goes up to the Hill anymore. And now you have Mr. Torino angry. But you're insisting to us, what? Trust in me? Have faith in me? What is it? Because we have to keep that the way it is.
Of course, yeah. I'll tell you this, that just to tell the public that it is safe in the sense that we have police officers that work that area. It's critical for us to ensure that the quality of life at the Hill is positive. And so the relationships that we have, and obviously when something happens, we take immediate action, effective action, quick action to ensure that doesn't happen again and to hold people accountable. You're responsible. You want to own business in anywhere in the city, well, you're going to be held accountable if something happens there. So again, it's incidents that happen. It's an urban in the city. We have a lot of people that come into the city to visit, to enjoy themselves. And at times you're going to have incidents, but overall it's safe.
All right. If it's not the nightclubs that have been in the news, and there's been one after another every other week, it's Levels and then Sage. And Sage, up on the upper floor, you have men found after-hours drinking going on. And these are called sip clubs, where it's not enough to go your regular hours and have your drinks. You have to go somewhere that's run a long time. Now, not that long ago, you found State Representative Enrique Sanchez outside a sip club, and that made a lot of news. I'm going to play this for you, and then I want to ask you, because at one point he said to this one of your officers, well, the chief knows what I do. I want to ask you, what did he mean by that, and whether that's true or not. Go ahead and play this, and you can listen.
I'm curious why you're here this late at night and you're a state rep.
He knows that I do my thing as well, but listen, it's separate.
You're not representing you or your party. We're not going to debate this. You hold an office. You're at a late night, 3 months after a person was murdered. Okay? You shouldn't be there.
That was quite the scene. That was captured and made the news. That's State Representative Enrique Sanchez. At one point he said, the chief knows what I do. Well, what does that mean, Chief? Were you taken by surprise? Do you know what he does, and what does he do?
Yes, I mean, as chief of police, I interact with a lot of people, community residents, politicians. And so, yes, we have relationships that is all about keeping this city safe, and it's about public safety. I'm not sure what the the rep was referring to. And so, at the end of the day, with whoever I meet do on their own time. I'm not fully aware, so I'm not really sure what he meant by that.
But if I was to understand, well, he knows that I'm in the SIP joint or I'm near the SIP joint after hours, that's
that's
that
incorrect.
your understanding?
Absolutely not. I mean, again, the relationships that I have with politicians or, again, city residents is more about the safety of the city, and so I'm not sure what he was referring to. And to your question earlier too, Gene, you mentioned something about what do we do about the SIP joints. And as you can see, our lieutenant, I happen to be the lieutenant in charge of the third shift. The mission is to ensure that we keep the city secure, that we make sure that when these SIP joints are popping up, that we keep an eye on it. The post guy that works in that area also checks it, and on that specific night, that's exactly what they were doing. And so they came in contact with Representative Sanchez, and his comments were made, but again, it's not something that I'm fully aware of what he meant.
Well, he tweeted out, I know you're aware of this tweet, a couple of days back. This is State Representative Enrique Sanchez, Democrat, Providence. Under this new administration, the past year, I've seen an increase of certain Providence police racial profiling, harassment, and targeting of Black, Latino, and poor residents across our city.
Yeah, I mean, again, as the chief of police, that's one of my priorities in making sure that we have a department that's professional, that we police the city in a constitutional manner. We have a tremendous office in internal affairs that is led by Major Henry Remolina. We answer every complaint. And if someone came in and made such a complaint that they have been harassed, or whatever the case may be, that one of our officers acted in an unprofessional manner, we're going to investigate it to the extent and to get an answer. So, I mean, I'm just not sure where that information is coming from, but I know for a fact that I can speak highly that we have an entity in the department, which is internal affairs, and we investigate anything that of that nature, because that's concerning. But no, that's my mission, is to hold people accountable. I've said it many times before, where we can, if something like that was to happen, we can, responsibly discipline somebody, fairly retrain somebody, fairly fire somebody, or fairly put handcuffs on somebody. So allegations like that are disturbing, but if anybody has a complaint, they can always come into the police department.
Did you call Enrique up and say, hey, what is this about? You're a Latino police chief.
Correct.
So I would find it hard to believe that you would oversee discrimination against Latinos. I'm sure it's possible. Nothing is certain, nothing is given. But did you call him up and say, what is this?
I did not call him, but I definitely, again, the door is open. I'm very transparent, and I'm open. Any concerns in the city, not just for the representative. Anybody that has any issues, they can reach out to me. I mean, this job's, before I leave, I want to make sure that people remember me as someone that was approachable, transparent, and held himself accountable just like he does his officers.
Let's bang through kind of a lightning round here. You had the shooting outside the Islamic Center.
Correct.
And some people suspect it might have been a hate crime, but you have not made a determination yet. Do you have any motive in that yet?
I haven't. I haven't made the determination. I'm actually, I grew up in the neighborhood. Yeah. And I'm very friendly with the imam there. Okay. I actually had conversations with him. And so my priority is to ensure that the Muslim community, just like the Jewish community, feels safe. And so I had that conversation with him. He was asking me if it's a hate crime. I don't want to come out and say it's a hate crime if I don't have a motive. I have a crime, but I don't have a motive.
All right. And you mentioned the Jewish community, too. Very concerned. We saw what happened up at Brown University, the demonstrations, shouting down the president. By the way, that school dropped charges against the students that your men and women had to pull out of their building because they wouldn't leave. Are you disturbed at that? Was that the right thing for them to urge the city to drop charges?
Listen, I held myself accountable for my own decisions. I know that the decision was from the chief and the administration at Brown University. We're there as a resource, and that's something that they decided to do. Again, we provide resources, and we'll continue to provide resources because that's our job. But that decision to drop the charges was on Brown University, and so I can really speak about that.
Well, I understand that, but what if they call you again and say, hi, we need your help again. Send the prisoner transports, because I got a kid said they won't get out of this building. At some point, as the police chief, you might say, hey, what are you doing here? You're slapping on the wrist, letting them out. There's no accountability. Yeah,
those are conversations that we've had with the chief. But again, it's something that is important for me to respect, that there's an administration of Brown University, there's a police chief there, and yes, there's conversations that we've had. But at the end of the day, the Providence Police Department is there to provide resources and do their job to ensure that everyone's safe.
You're talking about the chief at Brown.
Correct. I'm sorry, yes.
And I understand that you're not wanting to get involved politically, but unfortunately that comes along with your job.
Correct.
Because you have to deal with the city council, you have to deal with the mayor, issues of funding, defunding, that becomes a political police business. Right now you're satisfied with the amount of money you receive from the city to run your department?
I am. Obviously there's always resources. This department is evolving, the city is evolving, the population is evolving. There's new needs, technology is one of them that has been playing the game. So yeah, there's always need for funding. But I'm very pleased to say that we just received the COPS grant recently. We received about $2.5 million that is going to help us with recruiting. It's going to take care of about 75% of salaries and benefits for 3 years for a new entry-level officer.
Right.
And then we also received about $250,000 for de-escalation training. So I'm pleased. Obviously, we can always use more because it's like anything else. If you have more money, you can spend more and you can have more tools and more toys.
Right.
And so that's exactly it.
You're talking about the COPS program, which is run by the federal government, which is overseen by your predecessor, Chief Clements. He got a lot of money for Providence.
Correct.
And that money's going to go to good use.
Yeah, correct. He got a lot of money for the city, for the police department. The department, his department got a lot of money, and that definitely is going to go to good use, and is good use for the city, this beautiful city that I love so much.
Right. I told you that I just found out today, we're taping on a Friday, that the governor has identified another parcel of land to move the buses out of Kennedy Plaza. If in fact that happens, that will kind of change your landscape a little bit. Kennedy Plaza won't be the problem anymore that it is now. So that's a good thing?
Correct, it's a good thing. I think that we have some social challenges in the city. Kennedy Plaza is one of them. And again, the police department will continue to do what they can to provide the services that we need. And obviously, at times, if a crime's committed, at the end of the day, we got to act and police the city. So,
all right. Colonel Perez, Chief of the Providence Police Department, thanks for coming in, and Merry Christmas to you, and good luck ahead.
Happy holidays to you too, Gene. It's a pleasure and an honor.
You too.
Thank
you very
much.
much.
Thank you.